One of the things I was a bit dubious about was the curved shape that Tommy had marked out and showed me, and I actually really like that now. I think it would have been too uniform if it had just been a sort of ordinary curve. The fact it rolls out a bit, I think that's great, gives it some character. The steps, again, Tommy sort of looked at the plans, thought of a slightly better idea, and I think they've come out great. The Arbour, absolutely superb. Alan's done a brilliant job of that, and I'll definitely be sat there. It's very comfy. And finally, the whole thing just fits together brilliantly. I think it looks perfect.
Is it Steve?
Yeah.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
It's me.
I'm Tommy.
Hello, Steve. I'm Alan.
Hi, Alan. This is Big Al. Now, what have we got to do?
What I wanted was I've got a fountain that I've bought, and I wanted to be able to see it from in the kitchen. There's one thing as a sort of feature, and also.
So I presume this is your kitchen window here.
Yeah. And
fountain here.
Yeah.
Right.
And then just a nice surroundings, because I like the ivy. It's quite enclosed. It's like a little courtyard, really. And
so what we would call a relaxation area.
Absolutely.
Right. So this here
is the
water fountain, the feature, and then obviously this has got a Pavio edging all the way around.
Yeah.
So it comes right the way down. The shape of this follows the curve of the drive. Yeah.
Well, pretty much, yeah.
And all this high-level stairs area, that's all going to be paved as well, yeah? And edged. Right, and that's going to be as existing. That's going to be the garden
back a bit, really, yeah.
Right. And I know we're going to try and do some sort of seating area.
Yeah, that would be great, actually.
That corner there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll construct something. Me and Big Al will have a little sit down and a discussion and see what we can come up with. And then if you approve,
OK,
we'll crack on with it.
Will you give me a hand out? I brought this out for me to play with. You ready?
We don't want to damage the brick structure. Yep. Give it a little tug. And there you go. You take that and carry it round there.
OK.
OK?
That's easy.
You carry it and I'll do the lifting. Done that one.
Excellent.
Now, these are coming up fairly easy. The reason for that is when they were laid using the spotting method. Now, all that basically means is you put 2 or 3 dollops of mortar down as a spot, like little puddings, and then plop the slab on top. But I don't recommend you lay paving that way because, number one, they tend to move after a period of time, and you have these void areas underneath, like through here, which are possibly a weakness in the surface, and if you drop something on the slabs, can break very easily. You keep watching and I'll show you how to land the proper way.
So, I think we've got a problem with this one.
Oh, hold on a minute. Yes, well, what they've done, when they've built these steps, they've put this layer on first, and then they've built the second step on top of the paving.
Right.
So it does create a bit of a problem. I think what we do, because these bricks are in a terrible state, they've all blown off the face anyway. Rain has got in, it's got wet, and then in the winter, when it's very cold, the moisture freezes. And it actually then blows the face off the brick, and that's what's called spalling. It's very, very difficult to repair. You have to cut the brickwork out and replace the bricks. So I'm going to make an executive decision, because these are not very well built. We're going to rip this out, and I'm going to rebuild the whole lot properly.
OK.
OK, and we use those reclaimed red engineering bricks, because they're nice and hard, they'll be fine.
OK, great.
Yeah? All right. You rip it all out, and I'll rebuild it. Although this is a bit of a nuisance having to strip all this stairs down, it does give us one advantage, that with a blank canvas we can actually make the steps to suit the size of the slabs rather than having to cut the slabs to suit the size of the steps. This old path edging here is really in the way because it's projecting up so high. What I want to do, we're going to make an edging right the way around the paving out of these old reclaimed bricks here. Obviously, these are much thicker than the paving, So we actually want to build them, lay them in here, but that'll make it too high. So I've asked Alan if we would cut down these to size for the first 15 foot or so, and then I can get a nice shape to this.
I really do think I drew the short straw here.
Right, then we're going to use these reclaimed bricks to make the outside edge of the paving. Now, to bed them down, we're just going to use ordinary Bricky's mortar, which is 5 parts sand, so 5 shovels of sand and 1 shovel of cement. You put the water in first and a little bit of plasticizer, about 2 capfuls. Then you put in the sand, and then we go for the cement. Now, you want to be careful with the water content. You want it to sort of have the consistency of like a double cream. If it gets too sloppy, it just makes too much of a mess. And don't let it mix for too long, because the plasticizer aerates the mortar, and if it runs for too long, it turns into like a candy floss type of concoction. It's very difficult to use. Now, a lot of people struggle with laying bricks or a path or paving. Anything like that needs to be flat and in a straight line. The simple way to do it is you set one on mortar at the top end, where you've actually worked out where you want it to be, and then you put a temporary one further down the line, and using a piece of string pulled taut between the 2 ends, you can't go wrong. Just then lay all the bricks to that line, or all the paving to that line. It'll be as straight and as flat as Holland. Well, the shape of this existing edging is not very nice, and it's also rather impractical for a table and chairs on here. So what we're doing, we're coming down in a straight line there, just fanning out a bit, and then to give it a bit more style, we're going to bring it down and we're going to kick it out here and round there, give it a bit more of a belly. What are you looking at? There's nothing wrong with that. Now, a little tip to do this is just to take some sand and just go along just so you can get your shape. And if you don't like it, you can easily kick it out and reshape it. If only straightening up my own belly was so simple, eh? There we are. Steve! All right. Steve, there you are. Look, what do you think of me belly? Not that, no, that's not bad, is it? It's gone. No, this one, do you like it?
It's better than before, much better. Didn't like that before.
Doesn't sound very convincing. It's better than before, to be quite honest. Anything would be better than before.
Absolutely. This
is curved and shaped. You've got to take the hard edges off of it.
As long as I still get the car in there, I don't mind.
Just treading these scalpings in. What it is, it's stone and it knits together nicely. But the reason that I'm putting it in is I've dug away the soil to reduce the border. I'm coming all the way along here with it, and then Tommy's going to bring his brickwork along and follow me through.
Oh, over here, please, Steve. The art of good labouring, mate, is to put them close to the bricklayer so he doesn't have to wear his legs out. Have you ever done any of this before, this sort of work?
Similar. I used to work on sites with my dad, who's an electrician. So summer holidays and stuff. So chasing walls and...
That's tough, that is, chasing out walls for cables, yeah.
Putting a conduit in and stuff like that. I got quite good at it for a bit.
Tommy!
Hello?
Tommy, I can see the pub from here.
Steve, you got a minute? Look. Yeah. Now, according to the drawing, this is a different level to here.
Yeah.
But the brickwork, as you can see, is in a terrible state. It's all blown.
Yeah.
Because they're the wrong bricks, right? Now, we could chop that out, because it says to render it on the drawing.
Yeah.
But you can't render that. Look, even where it's been rendered here, it's all separating.
Coming away.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
It will just do the same thing. So that means we'll have to cut them out and replace them with brickwork.
Yeah.
But I've got a better idea. You know this, we've squeezed that bed over to make a bit more room. That's really useless space. Why don't we take this out and lower this level down to here? And then that gives you the full width of this courtyard.
That'd be great, actually.
Nearly done now. This is really therapeutic. I enjoy this more than I'd enjoy my chippying, but don't tell Tommy that.
Well, I have to say, Big Al, you were obviously born to be a pointer.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Is that a compliment?
Yes. You know, they're them dogs that gallop across the downs. No, you've made an excellent job. And they look really nice, don't they, the old bricks?
Yeah, they look a cracking job, don't they?
This building's called Wadden Hall and has been here for about 200 years. It was built in 1820. When you first walk into somewhere, things hit you. And what hit me about this place was big, airy windows, lovely big garden, and generally the character about it, it felt like an old house, although because it had been rebuilt 20 years ago, you had some elements of modern plumbing and modern electricity, the sort of things that people normally have problems with. There weren't going to be problems here. So it had the best of both worlds, really, an old house but with a modern interior. The kitchen had been done and the main bedroom and sort of ensuite sort of shower had been done, but the rest of the house, really, I had to carpet, paint. The biggest project, however, was the cellar, which was, at the time, disused. It was a huge area, and I instantly saw the potential that the cellar had. So a lot of work was done on that, but it's a great area now to get away from the rest of the house, especially if I have a few people round, because even though it's very quiet in the country, sort of any sort of noise would disturb the neighbours in the rest of the building. So I don't get any complaints about noise anymore when I have people to around to have something to eat and play some music and shoot a bit of pool. Tommy is the gaffer. He's got a certain way of working. He's obviously got years of experience and puts that all into action when he works.
Now, with all this paver edging laid, what's left for me to do is to start preparing the ground. We're going to take off all this surplus stuff and spread it around, ready for laying the paving. Hence, the pickaxe and the shovel. Aha! What have we found here? Yeah, that was lucky. There's either a soil pipe or a rainwater pipe. And they should be buried about 18 inches down in the ground at least. They certainly shouldn't be surfaced like this. It's rainwater, that's what it is. These big rainwater pipes that come down from the roof, that one, then run along in this pipe and bury down into the drain somewhere. I know what we'll do. We can run a course of brickwork along here into the stairs, and then we'll put a course of headers on top. And that'll box this pipe in without damaging it, but still give us the extra room on the courtyard. That's a very good idea. Good thinking.
Taking off this top mortar. Now, it's quite hard. If you're taking any off, don't chisel that way, because there's every chance that you're going to loosen the bricks and push them in. So always go down the length of the brick run. Another thing, wear a glove. You probably think I'm a right wuss for wearing one glove, but there's a reason. As you're holding the chisel and you're hammering it, you get all these burrs come over and the razor sharp, and they just start to dig in your finger. So that's why I'm wearing a glove.
Now, the brick edging gives us the height that we want. So that leaves us with a bit of a void area in the middle here. So what we're doing, we're using all the scrap bricks to break up as hardcore individually over the whole area. And then on top of here, we're moving some of this hogging, spreading it over the top, and then we'll stamp this in, and that will solidify the base, and then we'll lay a bit of concrete blinding over the top, and then we're ready for laying the paving. Right, now the water feature we've got to put in here is going to be self-contained, but that also involves a pump. Now, the pump's 240 volts, which has its own cable. Now, because we're putting paving here and the cable's going to go under the paving, it's rather safe. But the only problem is, what happens if there's something wrong with the pump and you want to change the cable or it needs a repair? How do you get it out from under the paving? So also, to give it a bit of added protection, we're going to put the cable inside this hose. But we're not ready to put the cable in the floor yet. So I have a cunning plan. We take a screw and a piece of string and we feed it through the hose. It's what we call a mouse, okay? And that goes right the way through to the other side. And then we lay this hose with the mouse in it, the string, in, and we can lay the paving and the concrete all over it. And then when we want to, we tie the end of the cable to the end of the mouse and then pull it back through and the cable will come out here and we can do the connections just as we want. Clever, that, isn't it? It's beginning to take shape now. Nearly all the hardcore we've put back in and tamped it down. We're levelling up this gravel, but we've got a bit of a hollow here, so a little bit more straightening out, and we'll be ready for laying. One final thing we've got to do before we start laying is we've got to put a concrete blinding down, and that's why in the back of my van I have got a great big pile of ballast. Now, this one's wet because there was water in the barrow, but you don't normally have to have it wet. You can have it dry, and it's easier and quicker to lay. And all this is a very thin layer just to make the top of this surface stiff, to make it flat and level. It makes it easier for us to work. Right there. That's better. Now, before I actually start laying the paving, how have I got this level? Now, it's years and years of experience using the old mince pies, you see, but that's not something I recommend for you. Use a spirit level. Now, I haven't tested this first, so we'll see. The water will run off that way, away from the house, and going with the lie of the drive, and lovely, fractionally that way. We don't want it running too steeply that way because this is where the table and chairs is going to be, and I don't want them sort of sliding off down there in a rainstorm. With that degree of accuracy, I can proceed with the paving. I'm going to start 36.5 inches from the wall, bed that one, and I'm going to go up the other end and put another one 36.5 inches from the wall. Now, that one up there will be a temporary one. And then I can put a line between the two, and that will give me a straight and parallel line with the property, because that's the line that the eye will pick up. The straight line of the property and the straight line of the paving. Now, if you look down that line now, the reason why I made it 36.5 inches from there, because I could have made it less, was there's old foundations under this wall, like projections sticking out.
Yeah.
And it'd be a bit difficult. If we try and cut that out, we might actually damage the whole wall.
Yeah.
So I've got to get round that. What we do, we lay to this line, and then we can put a cement fillet in there.
Yeah.
A decent cement fillet. And you'll never notice that we've gone over the foundations, but think of all the egg I've saved you.
Me?
Well, someone had to cut it out, and It couldn't be me. I'm laying the paving.
Yeah, but I'm mixing them up.
I know, but you've got to grow 2 more arms. I didn't tell you that. Now, a lot of books and a lot of builders recommend that when you lay paving, you use a spotting method. That means putting a dollop in each corner and maybe a dollop in the middle if it's a big slab. But that fails on a couple of counts. It leaves a weakness in the slab where it's not supported underneath, and also you get infested with ants and insects. Now, if you happen to be laying down, taking in a few rays, it's a bit uncomfortable when all the ants climb through your gin and tonic when you're not looking. So my method is to put a complete bed in and then using a trowel, just run it through like that to create these ripples. And that will allow the slab to settle down. Now, I don't recommend you do this on your own. If you're doing this, get someone to help you hold one end of the slab each. The idea now, you see, because it's got all those ripples in underneath, just by tapping it, that spreads the mortar bed underneath and covers the whole of the area of the slab. What do you think? It's nice, isn't it? I know it's not finished. That's part of the challenge. I mean, we've still got these Roman steps to do, and we're not quite decided how we're going to do them yet. And we've got the water feature to do over here. And then, of course, there's the furniture, the wooden furniture Al's got to make in the corner. And we've got to lay the rest of the paving. And what else are we going to do? Oh, yes. And if you tune in, I'll show you the easy way to cut paving. See you next time. This challenge has brought me to the outskirts of Milton Keynes, to an apartment in a wonderful old Georgian building. Steve, the homeowner, has worked on the interior, but now he needs a hand outside. Now, so far, what we've done, we've put a reclaimed brick pavior edging all the way around, and that defines the area, and we're laying sandstone, random sandstone paving as a surface. And then we've got to rebuild some steps to the front entrance door there. But to try and make this into a lovely, cosy courtyard area, we're going to put some seating in that far corner, and that's going to be bespoke seating. We're going to make it from the raw materials, so it should look really nice. And just in front of the seat in the corner, we're going to put a water feature in there. This is a self-contained, purpose-made water feature. You can buy it off the shelf, and it will match perfectly with this house. It should look really nice. I'd better get on and start laying some paving. A useful tip when you're laying natural paving, especially if it's all hand cut like this, it will vary quite a lot in thickness. So when you're laying the first slab, lay the thickest one first, and you can put it on what we call a tight bed. And that way, by using the thickest one first, you'll never come to a part of the patio where you've got no bedding room allowed for when you're laying the paving. So the thickest one first, and then it doesn't matter, you can lay anything after that. Did that make sense?
Did to me.
Well, there's hope for all of us yet then, isn't there?
So what we're going to do is we're going to build a corner seat and arbour together. Now, it's going to be quite a simple affair. A post here, a post there, a post in the back, a seat across the angle, and then the nice arbour top. And then we're going to let all this foliage just climb over the top of it as it grows back, and it'll be a nice, cosy little corner for him to sit, have his gin and tonic, look at the fountain, and out over the views. What could be better? Here's the back wall, and then we've got the garage wall. And what I'm going to do is have pillar there, and a pillar here. And then I'm going to connect with rails through there, and through there, and then one across the front. And this is down, looking down from above, and then at the back there, there'll be another little rail. And then this is the top of the arbour, and that will fan out like so. That's looking at it from above. Now, from the front, you'll see the two outer posts there, and a rail going across, and then the slats of the seat, then the back, and we'll probably have the slats going that way for the back of the seat as well. And then the Arbour ends coming through here like this, and they'll return back into the corner like so, and then your back post coming down there, and then I think we're going to have some diamond shaped trellis on either side. You can see I'm no artist, but that's what it's going to look like anyway.
Well, now, people say to me, OK, laying the slabs, but how do you cut them? Especially if you make a nice curve for the edging. What you have to do is lay all the paving, and then when you come to the edges, you lay them out dry, OK? So you put the pattern in as you want it, but you don't put the mortar under them. Now, this is the little tip. Once you've got them all laid out like I have right along here, the few holes that are left, I hope to fill those with the offcuts. No wastage. Now, when it comes to actually marking them, before you mark them, you lift it up, get a couple of bits of stone, put that there and there, and then lay it back down. What that does, that gets it into position at the right height where you want it here. Equal up the joint, make sure you're happy with the way that sits square, and then taking either a crayon or a heavy pencil like this, you mark just there. Now, you must allow for a joint. If you make it too tight, you're going to give yourself trouble. Okay. Now, the big problem is, if you're going to do curved work, this is a straight blade, so how do you make that cut into a curve? Can be tricky, but I've got a very clever bit of kit. I just want to show you this. Take that one off. And this is a specially designed blade. If you have a look, it's got a curve on it. Once that's fitted, it can actually do curved work. It's got all the diamonds are fitted to the top of the blade here. It really is a smart bit of kit. Hopefully everything goes according to plan. Just 1 minute. You don't have to cut all the way through, you just cut a track. And then with a bit of luck, tap, it should just break nicely. You have to be patient. If at first you don't succeed, try again, but a bit harder.
Now, in an ideal world, we'd have 4x4 posts here, but we've got 4x2 and we're joining them together, just popping the screws in. Now, it saved us a lot of time because we've got rails coming out of here like so, at an angle. Now, if we'd got 4x4 posts, we'd have to house all these out by sawing through it and then chopping with a chisel. So it saved us quite a lot of work in that respect. So, just use a bit of stock timber for your register, because that's going to be the section of the rails running through, and just pop the screws in. This is where I need 3 hands, mate. So if you could hold that there,
Okay.
and I'll bring this other corner post up. This piece here is going to be the front rail of the seat, and that's going to be the back rail of the seat, where you park your bum, and then there's going to be a ramped back, etc., etc. But right then, Tommy, Same again. You really are a wonderful assistant.
Are you finished with me for a minute?
I have, thank you very much.
OK, you're welcome.
Up here, you'll see there's like a socket, and I've got to cut this spar at 45 degrees so that it finishes flush there, and then mark out for all the nogging out and the spars to drop in. A bit easier if I show you. The reason that I'm using a handsaw to do these cuts is because all the spars radiate out from a central point, so all the angles will be different. Always have a sharp chisel. A blunt chisel is neither use nor ornament. Start well away from the line, knock it through. Job done. Try and pull this tight into the corner. No,
Right.
It's got to go.
Hold on, which way?
See what I mean? It's got to go like that.
Oh, that way.
Yeah.
I need to be able to see it.
Let me get round that side.
You know what the problem is? We're not on a level bit of ground, so that's why she's giving you a bit of
It
grief.
shouldn't make no never mind, should it, really?
It shouldn't make no never mind. What does that mean?
It doesn't matter,
let me
does
look
it?
It shouldn't make no never... What does that mean?
It doesn't matter.
Where did you learn this sort of
I'll let
stuff?
you have an Alan Phrase book, shall I?
No. Now, after close inspection at this ancient relic here, I decided I'm going to strip all this brickwork back, and we're going to build the steps back in the same line as this original wall. So then all this raised area will be in line. So if I chop all this down and rebuild it in new bricks, come from round there, right the way down there, so we'll have a platform up here, 2 steps high, and then where you step down from the platform down, I'm going to put a kite winder in, so that will be an angled step. So instead of actually impinging on this area out here, the steps will be shaped such they will invite you round that way and up and into the house. Well, that's the plan. But my plans have been known to modify at times.
Tommy and me had a little discussion. We decided we wanted a fancy shape on the end of the roof spars. So, I'll show you how we did it. Get yourself a paint tin. Place it on the end, about half distance down or a little bit over. Draw it round once and draw it round again.
Very last cut. Yeah, I nearly forgot about that. Oh yeah, right now, these are going to be the great new steps. What I've done, I've built an outside carcass of reclaimed bricks and then backfill it with hardcore. Then we're going to cast a concrete slab on the top. And then it'll be ready actually for laying our paving.
Cutting out the trellis timber for the back of the unit. Now, it's just 6mm ripped out of the 4x2. But what I've done is select the timber so that there's no dead knots in it. Now, a dead knot has generally got a black line around the outside of it. These are what we call live knots. And if you have live knots, it'll flex with the timber as I'm going to weave them through each other rather than lay them on top of each other. So they're going to be on diamond pattern, fixed to the back of the frame and woven through each other. But I haven't cut them all yet.
Al,
Yeah?
how are you going to fit it in if you've got all them things pointing skywards? Now, don't be smart. You can just answer that one.
I'm going to cut them off.
Yeah, see? Simple. That's quite clever, that. I like that.
Have you not done it this way before?
No.
I was shown it by a right old school fella, and it's so easy. As long as you don't fix anything here, and you get all the other weaving done, and then you do all your other fixing, it's quite easy.
Right, all you brickies watching out there, I know I've not used bricky pins with this line, but I haven't got any. So I'm having to stretch the line taut using bricks. Same means, same end. It's never no mind. What do you call that, Al?
Won't make no never minds.
It won't make no never mind. Now, what I intend to do is to lay a course of bricks right along this wall to give it a nice edging, like we've got around the sandstone paving. Then I'm going to lay the sandstone paving inside of that, so it should all match and it should look very pretty. What do you think, Al?
Crack on. If you have any problems when you're doing this, if the timber's very, very dry, it's not as flexible. So, a tip for you, leave it, well, after you've cut it all like this, either leave it out on the lawn overnight or hose it down on your drive, and it'll make it all more flexible for when you're feeding it through.
The clock's ticking, and Alan's busy with his basket weaving. He must get out a bit more, you know that. Now, as I was saying earlier, steps don't have to be complicated. Now, I wish I'd listened to my own advice, because I've made these quite complicated and they've taken a long time to do. We've capped it off by putting this reclaimed brick edging all the way around to match the rest of the floor. And we're going to inlay the sandstone paving in here so it matches. That means it's quite complex, got a lot of cutting to do, but I think it's worth the effort. That's the last brick on this section. Only got another 1,000 to go up the other end.
Got the slats on the back. Just about to put the slats on here, get all the gaps even, and then I'm going to run a router around just to give a bit of a chamfer on here. But I'll show you how to do that in a minute.
If you want to do a bit of brickwork yourself, you don't have to be an expert. Providing you use a string line to keep them in line, when it comes to actually pointing them, you can either leave them with a rough finish like this, unpointed. This is for reclaimed bricks, of course. Or alternatively, you can use a jointer, which will give you a rub joint. But if you want to make it really look nice, especially with reclaimed bricks, all you have to do is take a pointing trowel like that and just using this side here as something to lean on, rub the trowel that way and then return, do the same on the other side. So it's just a straight cut, like that. See? And it gives you this sort of diamond shape. You get a nice, these are called the perps. So you do these ones first, the perps are the upright ones, and then you go to do the horizontal ones, you just take the trowel again, tuck it under the bottom of the brick, just run it along like that, and then you reverse that. Carefully remove any snots. Snots, that's a technical term, you see. That's for all the little bits that are hanging on. And it really enhances the look of old bricks, especially if you're not a bricklayer as well. You can get away with blue murder. Look at that. Once it dries a bit, then you get a soft broom and give it a quick flick over. Just look like an expert. It's getting very near the end of the day. These becoming heavier and heavier. Everyone I pick up. Oh,
Here you are, Dad.
oh, 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 thank you, Sir Galahad. Wonderful.
All heart. This is the corner where my seat's going to go. So I've just got to cut this piece of stone in, and then that can be bedded as well.
That's the steps finished anyway. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One thing about this, no one's going to nick it. Unless they've got a crane.
Are you stopping there, Steve?
I think so. No, I'm a feature.
Oh, it looks the bee's knees,
great,
doesn't
isn't
it? I think that was the statement of the day. It's a real pearl of an arbour.
That bit first.
Good. This is going to be the quickest, oh, blimey,
It's heavy.
water feature assembly you've ever seen. There we go, one water feature. You have to plug it in yourself. But just think, we've given you a set of steps, which you didn't have, staircase, all this paving we've done, right, all these borders, and of course, Pearl Arbour up there, down to Al. What do you think?
Brilliant job. Cheers, guys.
You pleased?
Very pleased. Fantastic.
Right, can we go now?
Yes.
Right, see you later.
One of the things I was a bit dubious about was the curved shape that Tommy had marked out and showed me, and I actually really like that now. I think it would have been too uniform if it had just been a sort of ordinary curve. The fact it bowls out of it, I think that's great. Gives it some character. The steps, again, Tommy sort of looked at the plans, thought of a slightly better idea, and I think they've come out great. The Arbour, absolutely superb. Alan's done a brilliant job of that, and I'll definitely be sat there. It's very comfy. And finally, the whole thing just fits together brilliantly. I think it looks perfect.